Welcome to Season 3 of the Biz Show, sponsored by Invest Choir. Discover what's next with this insightful podcast. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Hi, Barry. I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling like it's a Friday, but it's not quite there yet.
Oh, we're a long ways away from Friday.
Like it's been 4 days wrapped into this one day, but I'm so glad that we're together here doing the podcast in person.
In person, in the heat.
What am I going to do without you when you leave?
You're going to see me every week.
Okay, good.
And then some.
Good.
So this podcast I like this one. This is a really good one. This is you're a founder, you're starting the company and really transitioning it into becoming the CEO.
The leadership shift
that
no one talks about because we do it without even knowing we're doing it.
Some people do it and some people don't do it well.
And there's some legality that you may restructure your business and become an S Corp or whatnot that may force you to recognize the new role. Right? Or the new title, I should say.
The new title.
Yeah.
Well, they're two different things, right? And so I've come in to a company and I became the CEO of a startup. It had two founders.
Yeah.
But they were clueless as to how to move the company forward. And that's really the difference, right? Typically the founder is the person who starts it because they have the idea.
Yeah.
They have
no
the service,
skills.
the product, but no business skills. Exactly.
And they don't know how to structure a business. And so you just go in and you start this business, but you're not really running it from a standpoint of growth or like a CEO would recommend.
No plan, right?
Right.
Mostly the founders are tactical, right? They see a problem and they're tackling it and they're creating a solution for it. But then what do you do with that solution afterwards? That's a good question for them.
Yes. You think it's just all about the client, but there's a lot of back end that is required to keep the business afloat.
Well, if you're building a business, you need employees, you need finance, you need marketing, you need sales, insurance. You might need investors, you might need
a CPA. You might
all of those things that, as a founder, you don't know about.
I have a good story for you. You may go, oh
okay,
my gosh, this is crazy, but
I want to hear Lisa's story.
I am so embarrassed to admit this, but I was 21 when I started my business with my husband, and we were so young, and there was no online, there was no emails, there was no phones, and we were starting a business from scratch. He was a contractor, and I ran the back end from home. And so I was self-taught because I did not get my degree from college because we started our family young. And I just ran his company. It was a fast-growing company in construction, and we did not know that I'm so embarrassed to say this, but we didn't know that part of our money that we earned had to be paid to the government for our IRS taxes.
No taxes, yes.
I did not know that
we
had to pay.
You were young and you were in your 20s.
How embarrassing.
But you know what? Again, you're going to hear this motto all the time, but how do you know what you don't know if you don't know what you don't know, right?
So that's how I learned.
And if nobody taught you about taxes, your parents or teachers or whatever,
nobody
then
did.
You don't know. And you're kind of going around on this path of there's a lot of obstacles, but you just, you know what you're doing what you do.
Yep.
And then you find out, oh crap. And now you got to go back and rework everything.
Yeah. So definitely that's a great example of being a founder.
Yeah. I got a story too, right? But there's a mindset, right, between the founder and the CEO, and they're different mindsets and different skill sets.
Right.
But when I took this one company over, and it was called Save Locally, it's gone now. And the two founders, they reached out to me. We started to build the business. I started to build the business for them because they didn't know how to do that. And we hired employees and stuff like that. We got a few board of directors. I might have mentioned this to you in the past, right? So we were having a board meeting, right? I'm conducting a board meeting, and the two co-founders disagreed on something.
Yeah.
They actually broke out in a fist fight.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh,
that is so I had to step in. I know. I'm talking fists were flying.
That's so
I had
crazy.
to step in between the two, pull them apart, go to your corners, right? And really settle this thing down. And I'm like, wow,
like
what the hell? So because, both of them were passionate, and that's where it all was coming from. It was out of the passion, and one had passion one direction, one had passion another. But basically we were able to set it head down. All the other board of directors, they were like scrambling and trying to get out of the room. It was like, oh my God. And so we sat down for about half an hour, the three of us, and kind of just talked it out and stuff. And then we brought the rest of the board members in, apologized, and continued on. But the mindsets are completely different from a CEO and a founder, along with the skill sets, right?
Yeah, you're looking at the business from a different perspective, right? You're in it, or you're outside looking in, figuring out how to tweak it and make it better.
Right. So how do you know as a founder, when is it time to pivot and become the CEO or to bring a CEO in, right? And how that is basically some of the common signs. Your team is so confused. Nobody really knows what to do because they're looking for leadership,
exactly.
And you as a founder aren't given it.
Yeah, so they're just not getting what they need to be able to do the jobs right. And to help the company grow, right? They're just not getting what they need from the founder because you can't wear all of the hats,
right?
Especially if you don't have the skill.
It's a bottleneck. Yeah. And guess what? You as the founder, you are the bottleneck. Right?
Yeah.
Because you only have so much bandwidth.
So frequently too.
And no one's saying no one's calling you out and saying you're bad. The passion that you have is great, but you can't do everything.
You don't even see what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
You not even realize it.
Yeah, sometimes, right? Or you're constant. So the common signs, typically your team's confused. There's bottlenecks. There's constant firefighting. Every call, every email, every conversation with customers, it's always a firefight, right? That's got to be a telltale sign right there in itself, right? Also, your sales have stalled and you plateaued, and you might even be losing some sales because you can't fulfill the customer's needs, right? Mm-hmm. So those then are the telltale signs that you either need to get some training, and learn how to be a CEO,
right?
Or you need to bring in a CEO or at least somebody
some sort of
with
manager,
management,
leadership qualities, somebody familiar with organizational structure.
I've coached a lot of founders, and some of them turned out to be really, really good CEOs.
Yes.
And others, I told them, look, you need to bring somebody in.
We need to do a class and make sure that we educate the people that don't have the resources or cannot hire a management or somebody of that skill, or even hire InvestQuire to help them manage their company, and maybe do some classes on how to achieve those skills through our teaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I got my post-secondary teaching credentials, and I love teaching. So, what are the core differences, right? I mentioned that, the founder's tactical, right? But it's more than just that, right? Typically, the founder is the one that's building the company from scratch, or at least the products from scratch, right? Whereas a CEO is disciplined, and they have a strategy and and they come with a business plan, or they conform the business plan, and then start the process of growing the company.
They're not reactive. They're doing this with intention and forethought, in terms of how to structure things to make them better, and sit down with you and consult on the areas that need help.
Right. And here's something I can't stress enough. As a co-founder, and you bring in a CEO or a management consultant, whatever the case might be, you cannot expect results overnight.
No. It takes a while to transition.
It takes some time, right? So
there's going to be resistance, a lot of resistance. The founder's probably scared to let go of his baby, right? The business is your baby.
I've worked for a couple of founders, and those two founders were fine with letting go.
Yeah.
But still, they, had some ties into the company, which is fine. They had a lot of insight, and I sat down with them probably daily.
Oh, wow.
And went over. And by the way, I mentioned the company was Save Locally.
Yep.
And we went out for funding and stuff like that. And we were in competition with one other company. It was Save Locally and this other company, and the other company got a big round of $4 million of funding, and that company was Groupon.
Oh, I remember Groupon.
Yeah.
Brings us back to the early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah. So Groupon and so we pivoted and went elsewhere.
Oh, I see.
They went off on their own, but nonetheless, it was an interesting time.
There wasn't alignment, I guess.
Yes,
right?
definitely. So, typically, your day changes when you become a CEO versus the founder, right?
Yeah, you're really broadening the vision of the company.
Right. So, again, the founder, they've got the product and the service, whatever the case might be. The CEO is going to methodically sit down and build that business plan and start executing it, right?
Yes, exactly. That's when
They're
things
gonna
start changing.
Yes, they're going to hire people, right? They're going to start viewing metrics, putting metrics in place, and then start looking at those metrics and measure themselves and the company against those metrics.
Right.
Right.
That may be a time when they're seeking some capital to expand the company, right? They may actually go into that arena of, like we mentioned on a previous podcast, some different types of funding to help create the vision that you have or the alignment of your goals for the company.
Yeah. I mean, typically you want an experienced CEO, somebody has been there and done that, yes, right?
Definitely.
And I've come across some CEOs that have no experience as a CEO.
No, they sell you down the river and it's just not good.
I can tell right away who has got experience,
right.
who doesn't have experience. It's funny because I was talking to a guy who started a business, who he wanted to start his own private equity firm. And, I'm the CEO of this equity firm. Oh, really? Okay, cool. And we started having some conversations. I'm like, well, where are you getting the money? Who's buying into your firm? Well, nobody. It's just money. It's my own money. I said, oh, you're wealthy. He's like, no, I can barely make ends meet.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay, do you know what a private equity firm is?
Yeah.
Because typically you don't start a private equity firm unless you have a minimum of $10 billion, right?
Oh, right.
So, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of leeway and you can do maybe 50 million, start there, but you are then just a feeder equity firm feeding into like Sequoia or some of the other ones that are the big, $200 billion, $500 billion, equity firms.
Right.
But you can weed people out really fast. And
it's good if you do it fast.
I'm not saying that it was bad. The guy just had the mindset that that's
right.
where he was and that's what he was going to do. But he, again, didn't know what he didn't know.
Yeah.
So
well, that's how you learn.
That is how you learn. So how
do you do that mind shift? The mind shift has to happen because otherwise you're going to butt heads with the person that you hired or the CEO or manager.
Right.
So it's very important and critical to make that happen.
So of the companies that I've been brought into, I've had months of meetings with them.
Yeah.
Right. When I came on board World Internet.
Why does it take that long, Barry?
Well, because it's almost a marriage, right? So there's a courtship, but there's a due diligence, right?
Yeah.
They're doing their investigations on
testing
you,
it out.
but you are doing your investigations on them. I'll talk about World Intermed, the medical software company that I was the CEO of.
Yeah.
But it started out with a different company.
Right.
And their board of directors approached me to take it over. And I said, well, look, I'll help you find a CEO, but I don't want to be your CEO. I've got other things going on.
Yeah.
I met with them several times and stuff. And as I got deeper into the business, I told them, walk away from your company.
Yeah.
Leave. You've got 7 lawsuits against you guys.
Oh, wow.
You got no capital. Your CEO that you had that you fired and you want to hire me, he took all the money and ran off to Mexico. Seriously. And I'm like, you got nothing.
Yeah.
You got the product. My suggestions are this. Start a new company. You can take the product with you. Right?
Exactly.
Start a new company. And so about 6 months later, they came back. Hey, we started a new company. Now will you be our CEO? And, again, I said no, but they made me some offers I couldn't refuse. So I ended up becoming the CEO for 12 years.
Oh, my gosh.
But that said, the mindset, right? Understand the business and know where it's at and where it can go.
Yes.
And so the conversations I had with the board of directors was, can you trust me?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because if I'm the CEO, I ended up becoming the chairman of the board too.
They have to literally trust you and allow you to do your job.
And I'm talking with doctors, right?
Yeah.
And doctors are the worst decision makers in the world as far as stuff with money
Yes.
and things like that, right? So it took a while, but nonetheless.
There's a really good show on Netflix called Suits, which
I love Suits.
Yeah, it depicts
Yes.
those roles that are really conflicting in the people in the organization. Yeah.
Are you watching Suits right now?
Yeah, I didn't finish it yet.
Harvey, I
but
like
yeah.
Harvey.
I know, he's so good.
Yeah.
And his boss, forget her name.
Oh, yeah.
She's
I saw it probably
she's
4 or
good.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
The only one I didn't really like was
I know.
Lipshit.
No.
Or whatever his name is.
It did not.
But he
But
was
he's
a great
typical
character.
character of an organization, because there's always one, right?
Yes. So,
Snake in the grass.
well, there were a lot of snakes in the grass. Some of the old founders, one of them was a snake in the grass.
Yeah.
How far along are you?
Gosh, I put it down for a while because I always get interested in a different show, but I can't remember. Maybe I'm pretty far
I think
along.
there's 7 seasons.
Yeah.
So I won't spoil it for you.
No,
but
I
loved
did
it.
not finish
there,
yet.
There was going to be a second, or there is a second one that came out.
Okay.
But they're in Seattle now. Yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
So I don't know if it's out already or it's coming out.
Sometimes they get better.
And it's going to have the young guy.
yeah, he's so good.
And yeah, obviously Meghan Markle won't be there
Oh, no.
because she's now Duchess or whatever.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, so that's a good example. But yeah, the mind shifts are critical.
It is.
Being able to trust and delegate instead of having to do it all anymore. You could really let go of the control.
Well, that is it, right? And you got to have a founder that
Yeah.
understands that. And I've talked to founders in the past, like, no way, forget it.
Yeah, I did that once, and I did learn a lesson that they did shady things when I let go of the control. So, like Barry mentioned earlier, make sure you vet the person that you are getting into bed with, and
It's a marriage.
handing your company over to. That's
Yeah.
your livelihood. So,
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah.
So the mindset is paramount, right? And then the next thing is if you can't do it yourself, then
when should you bring them in?
yeah.
Like at what point
Well,
in time? When
I
you have
mentioned
when
earlier.
you have the money.
Yeah.
When your business is starting to have more failures. Like at what point?
So, we've talked a couple different things in the last few episodes too. But we mentioned crowdfunding. Use the crowdfunding to do your proof of concept. Maybe get a seed fund. And then after the seed fund, when you're starting to look at your series funding, if you're going to do that, that's probably where you want to start to get the CEO, because at that time you need to start building the structure of the business, right?
Yes.
As you build that structure of the business, then you're going to need somebody that knows how to do that, and then you got to hire people, you interview people,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right.
And those people that you interview, you start top down, right? So for instance, me, when I started these businesses, at first I'm looking for vice presidents, right? And then I find the people that I can trust that have the skill sets I need and put them in accounting and marketing and customer service and stuff like that. And then from then have them start working and building their teams up,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. Just like you're building your team right now with
Right.
Bella Properties.
Yeah, so you could delegate more and have.
And I saw you do that today.
Yeah.
A couple team members have walked in and you told them do this, do that, and you delegated and off they went.
Oh, I know. I have to let go of the control and let them do it.
Right. So the CEO, they manage differently, right? And they're
Yeah.
going to manage against KPIs, and they're going to manage against OKRs. And by the way, OKRs are objectives and key results.
Mm-hmm.
KPIs are key performance indicators. Those are metrics.
Yep.
Typically a spreadsheet with certain goals. It might be a project plan too, but there's certain things to meet.
Yeah.
And so here's the things, right? What a CEO needs to unlearn, right?
That they what?
They make every single decision,
Yeah.
right?
Because you still have to involve the founder.
Well, you still have to involve the founder, but
So it
also your team
becomes
members and stuff too,
A
right?
battle of the egos.
Right.
Right.
And then they gotta hire, and these are the things that the founder really needs to unlearn, should I say, when they become a CEO. They need to stop hiring for speed, right? Just to get a body in there. You need to now start really focusing on the skill sets and then how that person fits into your team. And then you don't have to be the smartest person in the room.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the podcasts I love dearly that we had was the imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
right?
I know that really comes into play. Right?
It does, right?
Who wears what hat and who you're trying to be, and why don't you just stick in your lane?
And then sometimes, you know, you feel like you don't deserve, or you're
Yeah.
just in the wrong
It gets
spot.
in the way of your
Everybody has
operation.
those feelings, right?
Yeah.
So just know that. And the
And,
best.
You know, they kind of create a layer between you and your personnel because they are the ones to have those tough conversations with the employees, perhaps, and it takes you, the owner, out of the equation, so you don't have to have that conflict.
It does. Most
Yeah.
CEOs will hit the conflict
Straight on.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of co-founders run away.
There's no
or
running
co-founder,
around,
but
beating around the
founders.
bush or pussyfooting around it, right?
Well-
They want to get rid of the problem.
Well, that's going to kill. That's going to kill the business right away,
Yeah.
right? So you got to be careful on that. So,
So regarding the skills that a founder that turns into the CEO, they're going to have to acquire skills if they don't already have them.
Right.
Because it's either going to happen naturally, they don't even realize that they've become the CEO of the company, which is me.
But you've learned P&Ls.
But in
you've
looking
learned.
back now, I
Yeah.
think about it, I'm like, I learned all of those things and really, turned into a CEO. So it's totally possible. It happens every day.
It does.
And congratulate yourself if you were one of those people that did make that shift.
Pat yourself on the back.
Right? High five.
Yes. But yeah, so either
myself some
you
money.
need to, either you need to learn those skills,
Yeah.
and those take time. So
Yeah.
you got to keep that in mind too, right? You
Right.
might be taking some college courses. You might just be looking online.
Yeah.
There are a few good books out there, but you really got to put them in practice. That's the
Right.
thing I see a lot of people. Oh, I read this book. Great.
But
What'd
now
you do?
implement.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I read all these books, but I'm still doing things the same way. So
Exactly.
where does that knowledge go? Yeah.
People are creatures of
Creatures
habit,
of
right?
habit.
Yes. So anyways, the skills you need to learn, right, is hiring, management, raising capital, also board relations, because as you raise capital and you're going to get board members, then you got to deal with those board members who are going to have wants and desires and needs and visions themselves, and you got to manage that process.
Yeah.
You also got financial planning to do, right? You got to learn P&Ls. You got to learn cash flow. You got to learn what is a burn rate.
Right?
What is a burn rate?
Know your numbers.
Does anybody know what a burn rate is? A burn rate, I'll tell you, is how much money you burn every day,
Yeah.
every week, every month that you're not making back in. So if you're spending $10,000 a week in payroll
You'll never
and
see it again.
everything,
Yeah.
and you're only making $5,000, then guess what? Your burn rate is negative.
Yeah. You're in the negative.
So you burn $5,000,
Yeah.
right?
So even though you're like letting go of some sort of control of your business and relying and trusting your CEO, still keep an eye on it and make sure that things are moving in the right direction.
Right.
Right?
I met with the founders weekly.
Oh.
And some of them I met daily.
With reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So then there's cross-functional leadership, right? The cross-functional is a CEO. Let me say this. I can't preface this enough. The best CEO you can hire is a generalist.
Why is that?
And because they know all the different departments and they know enough to know, but they're not an expert in finance. They're not an expert in sales. They're not an expert in marketing or customer service, right? They don't need to be. You need a generalist that knows all of that so that they can make
Right.
those things work. They're cogs in a wheel, or spokes in the wheel, right? If you hire, and I've seen this so many times, the CFO becomes the CEO of a company. Now everything is focused on numbers. It's all numbers. Or they hire the vice president of sales.
Yeah.
He's now the CEO. Now the sales team bubbles up to the top, and then all the other teams feel like they're neglected because all the salespeople
Getting all
are
the limelight. Yeah.
Yes. So keep those things in mind.
balance, yeah.
Definitely so.
Very important. Yep.
So, systems. Sorry, an ambulance went by. At least none of them were for us, right?
Hopefully whoever's needing an ambulance is okay.
Right. The other things is, systems that the CEO will put in place, right? One of the
Yeah.
biggest one is the rhythm of the company, right? They set the tone, And I'm the type of guy, I think I mentioned this in the past, a couple episodes, when I managed back at Shell Oil Company. I was a district manager, territory manager. I took over a Food Mart gas station in Sacramento. And I met with the crew and stuff like that. And I told them, hey, we're going to swap out and go with Coke shelves instead of Pepsi shelves. Get all the Pepsi ones out of here. Coke will be in at 6 p.m. tonight to put their shelves in.
Yeah.
So, and I left and I said, I'll be back at 6 and we'll have a all hands meeting. I come back and everything's done. Great, great. And then, perfect. What'd you do with the Pepsi shelves? Oh, they're in the dumpster. Oh, no, the Pepsi's coming to pick them up. We paid $1,000 for those.
Yeah.
So I, dressed in a 3-piece suit and tie, jump into the dumpster.
You told me this. You're a dumpster diver.
I dove into the dumpster and in my suit, and I'm pulling stuff out.
Yeah.
And employees, no, let us get in there and stuff like that. But that's lead by example, right?
Yeah.
And they're setting the tone, and you gain a lot of respect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Treat
Walk
your
the walk.
employees like people. Don't treat them like dirt or treat them.
Exactly. Do as you say and say as you do.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, couple case studies. Right. One case study is Stuart Butterfield, Slack. Right, Slack. They were a product focused company, and now they're not.
Public.
Yeah, and then they pivoted. That favorite word we like. They pivoted. Now they're a software company,
they
right?
Built an executive team, and they stepped away from the day-to-day product work, which is a good feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but
maybe they could take more vacations.
Yeah,
right?
Vacations are always fun, right?
Yeah.
And then another one is Melody Perkins from Canva, right? Look at Canva, right? She's still the CEO.
Wow.
So she was able to transition from founder to CEO.
That's a great
But she had to.
There goes another one.
Yeah, that's two.
The dust.
Let's hope not.
I know.
She was able to invest in herself with education.
Yeah.
So she went and took, business courses and learned what she needed to do to become the CEO of the company and stuff like that. And Canva, look, it's awesome. And how many employees? I mean, there are over 4,000 employees now.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a good example too.
I like that
sure.
example. I think I like doing case studies on companies. I mean, we're just skimming the surface. That one's a deep dive, right?
Yeah.
So what happens if you can't transition from founder to the CEO?
Yeah, you hit a plateau.
You do hit a plateau. So you need to recognize it,
Yeah.
right? You need to recognize that, and that's where you need to bring somebody in.
A lot of people will just close their doors, and then they're like, "Oh, I failed."
Well, we have a client that had a medical that kind of just did that, didn't they?
Yeah.
They closed their doors. The business is for sale. They've got a lot.
Because it feels like all that hard work went for naught.
Yes.
But maybe it's time to move on.
The business is still for sale because they have licenses, they have client list and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly.
So that's worth some money. And I've talked to people in the past about that. Oh, I'm just going to shut down. Well, wait a minute. You got a couple $100,000 at least sitting here.
Right, exactly.
So sell the business.
Yeah, and then your investors would lose confidence, and the worst case, you're replaced. But the best case, you stay in the founder or visionary role while someone else runs your operation. That's what we would want for those folks.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, even if you're not the CEO, it's still your business.
Yeah.
Right? And I know some founders who became the chairman of the board, right? They're founder and chairman of the board, but they have a CEO. And then if you notice, some companies have CEOs and presidents, and they're different. One is tactical, one is operational. So those are things to consider too.
Right. And you may need to make a journal on, what areas should you stop focusing on that need to be delegated to a CEO or somebody else that you bring into your company, that can help you.
Yeah, really. I mean, if you're going to bring a CEO in, then you need to take a step back and let them build the business. That's why you brought them in. Right. They are going to grow that business. They're going to hire the employees, get the customers, do the marketing, do the sales, take care of the finance, all that stuff.
It's all about your strengths and weaknesses, and you can't be like a superhero in all areas, right?
Right.
We don't have those powers yet. But AI is
I keep
here.
trying. My
AI is doing a
Spider-Man
lot for us.
cobweb is not coming out.
My bionic woman bracelet. I wear it every
Oh,
day.
there you go. Well, you hit me. All right. Well, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap, Barry. Have a good day, everybody.
Yes, everybody. Thanks a lot. Don't forget to reach out to Lisa or myself at investquire.com. You can find us
Biz Show
on
page and the Facebook page, InvestQuire,
Yes.
and our websites. And please subscribe. Subscribe to our podcast.
Yes, we want to grow this podcast and really make it.
So we can hire a CEO.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. Make it a great one.
All right, guys. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at The Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest specific business topics you'd like to hear. Bye!